Right, students? So today we begin a very important topic. Whenever it comes to grammar, I always say important. And you know the reason why. Because grammar is the base. Grammar weaves your entire English. Yes? So yes, as always, do pay attention to this topic, because again, whenever I have heard children using, the subject-verb agreement, that's your topic for the day. Subject-verb concord or subject-verb agreement. Whenever y'all have spoken, y'all in the sense the students that I have come across, I have always found a mismatch, right? So it never sounds good. So this is something, just pay attention to the rules, which is really the base of the topic, right? And once you grasp the rules, and I will tell you the rules, even without reading the rules, you might even get to know with the examples below. So let's go for it. Yeah, so subject-verb agreement, or it is also called subject-verb concord. Now, what is the subject-verb agreement or the concord? Subject-verb agreement simply means the subject and the verb must agree in number. That means, this means both need to be singular or both need to be plural. Now, this is very important, right? Your subject and the verb next to it. Obviously, we have a subject followed by a verb, right? Now, that has to match in number. And by number, what do we mean? Singular and plural, right? So, if your subject is singular, by the way, can you tell me which are the singular, subjects? So, it's I, you, he, she, and it. All right? Which are the singular subjects? I, you, he, she, and it. And which are the plurals? We, you, they. All right. Now, did you realize or did you notice I had a you in both? Yeah. Now, what do I mean by that? So, if I am talking to you, just one person, right? I am telling you, right? You open the book. Okay. I'm telling you that. But if I, as a teacher, stand in front of the entire class and I say, all of you open your books. So what is that? That is the plural you. So you has two. It comes in singular, it comes in plural as well, right? So let's quickly just say that again. Your singular subjects are I, you, he, she, it. Please stick to the sequence. It's very good. You never make a mistake. And your plural subjects are we, you, and they. Right? So this is very important. Now, if you know this very well, you will definitely get this extremely fast. We are now going to go further, where you are going to follow certain rules, right? Very simple to understand. See, don't take it as a tension. Don't take it as a burden. All right? Oh my God, rules. Don't. It is a very simple thing. Again, if you are a fluent speaker, you will have no issues. The rules will seem literally nothing, because this is what we converse in our daily lives. Yes? So please take it really calmly. Just understand. Just lend your ears. Give your 100% and you will know it with no time at all. Right? So, now the very first rule that we need to understand. Subjects and verbs must agree in number. We already saw that in the definition. Now, a very simple explanation has been given to you along with an example. So, it's going to be very lucid, very clear. If the subject is singular, the verb must be singular too. By the way, what is a subject? The subject is the doer of the action. Again, the subject in your sentence is the doer of the action. So here it goes. Example, she writes every day. Now, what has been highlighted in yellow is your subject. She. Who writes? She writes. She writes every day. Now, please see the subject is she. You remember singular? I, you, he, she, it, right? I is the first person, you is the second person, and he, she, it is the third person singular. So we need to always remember this. When it is she, it takes writes. If it is I write, you write, but only and only he, she, it, obviously it will not come, he and she writes. All right, the S comes. You always have to remember this in your third person singular. So, she writes every day. What is the exception? When using the singular they, use plural verb forms. For example, the participant expressed satisfaction with their job. They are currently in a managerial role at the organization. Now, they are. Now, this is your to be verb. I had done it with you in your simple present tense, if you remember. To be, you get is, am, are, right? So, with they, you have are. If the subject is plural, the verb must also be plural. Now, look at this. They write every day. Now, here you don't have S. It's not they writes. They write every day, right? Sometimes, however, it seems a bit more complicated than this, but don't worry. Don't you worry when I am here, right? So, let's just remember this. She writes, they write. That's it. You have to just remember subjects and the verb must agree in number. Do you see this? They are agreeing in number. That's your first rule. Moving further, when the subject of the sentence is composed of two or more nouns or pronouns connected by and, use a plural verb. Again, if the subject of the sentence is composed of two or more nouns, which are they? This is the doctoral student and the committee members. These are your two subjects. They are two nouns. It is one subject. The subject is the doer of your action. The doctoral student and the committee members write every day. So here you have these two and they are connected with and, right? So two subjects, two nouns in a subject, two nouns in a subject connected with and, we will use a plural verb. Now, the percentage of employees who called in sick and the number of employees who left their jobs within 2 years are reflective of the level of job satisfaction. So, pretty big, pretty lengthy, but yes, all the same. So, the percentage of employees who called in sick. Now, this is your first noun, right? It is connected by and, right? That's how the rule tells us. And your second one is the number of employees who left their jobs within 2 years. That's your second noun connected by and. Here we have a plural verb. Simple as that? Yes? Keep trying, you will get it. As we, practice further, we will get it. So don't worry at all. Now, moving further, when there is one subject and more than one verb, the verbs throughout the sentence must agree with the subject. Now, what is it? Previously, what did we have? We had two nouns as one subject, right? Two nouns connected by and. Now, here we have one subject and more verbs, right? So, here you see interviews, that's your subject. This is verb 1, this is verb 2, right? So, interviews are one way to collect data and allow researchers to gain an in-depth understanding of participants. Simple as that. Yes, you have two verbs and your subject remains the same. So, if your subject is in the plural, your verbs are also in the plural. Likewise, another example, an assumption is something that is generally accepted as true and is an important consideration when conducting a doctoral study. So, before I do it, come on, quickly tell me, which is your subject? An assumption is your subject. And which are the two verbs? They have been highlighted for you. Both are taking is. Why? Because your subject is singular. Right? Simple, isn't it? It's not at all difficult. I already told you not to worry at all. Let's move further to our next rule. when a phrase comes between the subject and the verb. Now, there is a phrase which comes in between the subject and the verb. Remember that the verb still agrees with the subject and not the noun or pronoun in the phrase following the subject of the sentence. Sounds a little complicated, is it? Don't worry. Let's just do it. The moment you get into your example, you understand the rule. So, if you have not understood what I just read, don't you worry. Let's do it here. So, the example here is, when a phrase comes between the subject and the verb, which is our subject here, who is doing the action? The student. Now, the student is our subject, correct? Right? Perfect. Now, what is the verb? The verb is. Alright? Now, between the subject and the verb, can you find a phrase? Yes. What is the phrase? As well as the committee members. Now, this is just to scare you, to confuse you. Forget this part. The student is excited. So, what has to happen? Your verb has to agree with the subject. Clear? This thing is just a phrase in between. It just adds to this, but it does not make a difference to the subject related to the verb. Right? Let's do one more. Let's go for another one. You have a lot many. The student with all the master's degrees is very motivated. Again, what's your subject? Student. Is the verb, right? And what is the phrase in between? With all the master's degrees. Again, this is just to confuse you a bit. That's it. You stick to your sentence. The student is very motivated. So the degrees, now see, let me just bring this to your notice. Degrees is a plural noun. So don't get confused and put are over here. That's what they just told you in the rule. This does not have to do anything with the verb. You have to connect the subject to the verb, not what is in the phrase. Even if your phrase is in the plural, your thing is singular. Why? Because the subject is singular. The student is. If I put an R here, just see how the sentence will be. The student with all the master's degrees are very motivated. Who are motivated? The student. But here we have a single student. So obviously we will use is and not are. I hope it's clear. Moving further, strategies that the teacher uses to encourage classroom participation include using small groups and clarifying expectations. All right, so here's our subject. Here is your verb, right? And what you see in yellow is the phrase. But is the subject connected to the verb? Is it going? Is it agreeing? Yes, it is agreeing. If your subject is plural, the verb is also plural, right? So here you see strategies. Here it is include. This part has got nothing to do with the verb. The verb has to agree with the subject. Likewise, the focus of the interviews was 9 purposively selected participants. Now, look at this. What is our subject? Our subject is focus, right? Which is the verb? The verb is was. That's our verb, right? So, what is in between of the interviews? Now, do you see this phrase? It was left unmarked for you to solve actually. So, interviews was. It is not interviews were. Why? Because this is a phrase which has nothing to do with the verb. Your verb has to connect to the subject as per the rule. Now, when 2 or more singular nouns or pronouns are connected by or nor, use a singular verb. Now, isn't this a little more of common sense required? Or nor. Now, or means anyone. When you're giving a choice, do you want tea or coffee? You select one, right? Unless you're greedy and you ask for both. Well, so when it comes to or, we talk of any one. So obviously, if your subject is singular, the verb is also singular. So here you go. The chairperson or the CEO approves the proposal before proceeding. Now let's look at the chairperson, that's your the part of your subject, and the CEO, or the CEO. Now it is any one of these. So because we are going to select any one subject, our verb will also be singular. Any one, so this also, it takes a singular verb. The chairperson or the CEO approves the proposal before proceeding, right? So when you have two nouns, that's two singular nouns or pronoun. Now see one very important thing, both these nouns are singular. Remember this, both these nouns are one person, chairperson is one and the CEO is one. So any of these one characters approves the proposal before proceeding. So when you have such a thing where your nouns are singular and they are connected by or nor, right, any one of them, in that case we will use a singular verb. Moving further, when a compound subject contains both a singular and a plural noun or pronoun joined by or nor. Now if you remember, just before this we had done where the chairperson and CEO both were singular. Now in this, what they are saying, it contains both a singular and a plural and it is connected by or nor. The verb should agree with the part of the subject that is closest to the verb. This is also called rule of proximity. Proximity means nearness. So you have to look at that noun, right, which is closer to the verb. So let's look at this. The student, right, or the committee members. Now see, student is one, committee members are many. It's a plural thing. Which is our verb? Our verb is write. Okay. Now, what is the rule telling you? You have two nouns. You have a compound subject. What is a compound subject? When you have two nouns, that's a compound subject. See, the terminology may be really big, but it's all very simple. Just understand it. That's important. So, the student or the committee members. Now here this is singular and this is plural. Which is the noun closer to the verb? The committee members, right? Now because committee members is in the plural form, the right will also be in the plural form. It said, right, whichever noun is closest to the verb will agree to that noun. So here committee members is plural, right is in the plural. Likewise, the other way around, let's look at this. Now, the committee members or the student writes. Now, think of it quickly. Yes, the committee members. Now, here it is plural. Here we interchanged, right? And here it is singular. So, what did the verb change? Yes, it changed. Because because the subject, the noun is singular, our verb also changed to singular. Simple, isn't it? So, if you have a compound subject, whichever noun is closest to the verb, of course, if it is connected by or nor, then whatever is closest to the verb will agree according to that noun, right? Coming to another part, another rule which tells you the words and phrases, each one, either, neither, everyone, everybody, anyone, anybody, nobody, somebody, someone, and no one. Oh my God, that was really cool. Are singular and require a singular verb. Now these are all indefinite pronouns. You are not sure who, somebody, someone, nobody, neither, either, each one, all of them are belonging to one. So it is a singular noun and it's so obviously it requires a singular verb. Remember what is subject verb agreement? If your subject is plural, your verb is plural. If your subject is singular, the verb is singular. Now all of these are singular, so obviously all our verbs following these nouns will also be singular pronouns. Now, let's look at this. Each of the participants was willing to be recorded. Now, please read very, very carefully. Each of the participants was. Participants were no. Why? Because we are looking at each. We already said each will take a singular verb. Were is plural, right? So it will go was. Each of the participants means each and every participant was willing to be recorded. Neither alternative hypothesis was accepted. Look at this. We already have this in our list. Yes. So because this is singular, our verb is also in the singular. I will offer a $5 gift card to everybody who participates in the study. Now, very smartly put. Everybody participates. Everybody is everybody, but it is taken as singular, right? So please don't get, mistaken here. Everybody participates. Now here this is singular. Our verb is also in the singular. In the singular as in it will take an S. Yes. No one was available to meet with me at the preferred time. No one was. Now both are so close, right? No one, we already have that in our list. Here the last one. No one was. So no one is singular. Was is also singular, and so they both agree. So looking at this, simple, very clear. All your indefinite pronouns, all of them, please remember, we will use a singular verb. Good going. Let's move further. Now, non-count nouns take a singular verb. What do you mean by non-count nouns? Non-count means nouns which you cannot count, right? Uncountable nouns. Yes, we have done them. So, let's look at this. They always take a singular verb. So, you know what? It's a nice thing to remember. All the each, everybody, nobody, somebody, they all take singular. Also, uncountable nouns take singular. So, if you really want to, really learn it in a very smarter manner, in your book, just make a column, make 2 columns, which will take singular verbs and which will take plural verbs. You will get the list right in front of you. Just a little bit of an effort, but it's a, lasting impact. Now, which is our subject here? Which is the noun here? Education is the key to success. Education is your noun, right? It is a we cannot count education, can we? 1, 2, 3, we cannot. So what do? We are taking a singular verb, right? Education. Diabetes affects many people around the world. Now, diabetes is singular. It is one. I mean, it has that effect of a plural because of the S, but it is treated as singular. And because this is singular, the verb, if you see next to it, is also in the singular. When I say it is in the singular, it has the S. Singular S. Another technique. Yes? Keep watching. The information obtained from the business owners was relevant to include in the study. The information. Singular? Yes. Can you count it? No. So it is a non-count noun. What is the verb? The verb is was. Again, it is singular. So all your non-count nouns take a singular verb. To the last, research. The research I found on the topic was limited. Please remember, was, were, is, am, are, has, have, all these are also verbs, right? They are the helping ones, but yes, they are the main ones also at times. So, the research again, it is singular, which is our verb was. So, the research I found on the topic was limited, right? So, here it is singular, here it is singular as well. So, what's your conclusion? all your non-countable, your uncountable nouns take a singular verb. Great going. Let's move further. Just one or two more to go. Don't worry, it's not a long thing and it is not confusing. Don't even tell me you're confused, because when you start solving your sentences, they will just come in a jiffy. Just watch it. Now, we spoke about the uncountable nouns. Now let's target the countable nouns. Some countable nouns in English, such as earnings, goods, odds, surroundings, proceeds, contents and valuables, only have a plural form and they take a plural verb. Now, all these words that we just saw, we don't say valuable, then it becomes an adjective, a valuable ring, all right? So we say valuables, contents, proceeds, surroundings. You know, we say the surroundings were very beautiful, the surroundings were very nice, they were very beautiful. The earnings, the goods, the odds, right? When you have such words which are always in the plural form, they take a plural verb, and these don't have a singular, they only have a plural form. So obviously if they are plural, their verb is also plural. So let's look at this. The earnings. The earnings for this quarter exceed expectations. Plural, plural. Is there an S? If there would have been an S, what would it be? A singular verb. So this is plural, this is also plural, there is no S. Plural is no S. Singular is yes S. SS again. The proceeds from the sale, now look at this once again. The proceeds from the sale go to support the homeless population in the city, which is the verb, a tiny little verb hidden here, go, right? Without the S, plural. The proceeds from the sale go to support the homeless population in the city. Now, moving to the last example, locally produced goods have the advantage of shorter supply chains. What are we talking about? We are talking of locally produced goods. And what is the verb we are talking of? Have. Now this is plural. Our have is also in the plural form, right? So countable nouns and uncountable nouns, very simple to remember. Uncountable nouns take singular, countable nouns take plural, which have the plural form. Now, in sentences beginning with there is or there are, the subject follows the verb. Since there is not the subject, the verb agrees with what follows the verb. Now, this is very important. If your sentence is beginning with there is or there are, now obviously there is not the subject. Is there doing any action? No, it's not the doer of the action, so it is not the subject. So what happens to it? If that is not the subject, the verb agrees with what follows the verb. Now this agrees, the verb agrees, here we go. The verb agrees with what follows the verb. What is following the verb? The administrative support. So this is singular, obviously is also singular. Likewise, there are many factors. Now you see many factors is in the plural. So are is also plural. We know is and are, right? Is is singular, are is plural. Very well versed with it. So because whatever follows the verb, right, the verb agrees to that. Where when your sentences are beginning with there is or there are, right? Let's go further. We are just coming to the end, so don't lose patience. Here we are on your last rule. Collective nouns are words that imply more than one person, but they are considered singular and they take a singular verb. Some examples are group, team, committee, family, and class. Talking of collective nouns, I'll tell you a very simple example, right? We all know what is a bouquet. Bouquet means many flowers put together as one. there are many flowers in a bouquet, but the bouquet is one. So this is what, that's all that this thing is telling you. The whole thing, the whole group is given one name, and it's because it's given one name, it is taken as singular. So what will I say? The bouquet is on the table, or will I say the bouquet are on the table? Now bouquet is one, how can I say are? Flowers are many, agreed, but bouquet is one, so we will use is. Same thing what I just explained to you is right here in front of you. All these are your collective nouns, right? Now they take a singular verb. Let's look at this. The group meets every week. Now here the group is your collective noun. What is the verb? It is singular. Why? Because the group is one. There are many people in the group, agreed, but group is one. All of them put together are one. Let's talk about your class. We say the class is making noise. The class meaning the students in the class. Students are many, but class is one. So that is how we get to know it. Again, the committee agrees, and singular means S. So do you see the S as well? Yes. The committee agrees on the quality of the writing. Committee, collective noun. Agrees, singular. S, singular. Simple? Yes. Let's keep going. However, the plural verb is used if the focus is on the individuals in the group. This is much less common. I already spoke to you about the flowers. Right. So when we said we are focusing on the flowers. Now I want to read out a sentence to you and let me see how sharp you are, how observant you are. The committee participate in various volunteer activities in their private lives. Is that sentence correct? Think. Read it once again. Take it. Come on. The committee participate in various volunteer activities in their private lives. Okay. What's your subject? Your subject is the committee, which is the verb participate. Now, committee is singular. Participate is singular. Singular means S. So, your S is missing. Yes, if you found the S, you have understood the topic. If you did not find this, please go through the rule once again. Yes, this was to confuse. If you put the committee members, then participate is fine. But if you are not putting members, then you add the S and you get it through. Right. So, moving further. Now it's time. I kept speaking and kept putting rule after rule. I hope it's all crystal clear in your mind. Now let me see how you get this. Right. Now there are two sentences, right, both same. You have to concentrate on the subject and on the verb. Whichever subject and verb agrees, that sentence is valid. Otherwise the sentence is invalid. It is incorrect. So let's go for it. $6 is too much to pay for a gumdrop. The next one, $6 are too much to pay for a gumdrop. Now, what is our subject? $6? Yes, right? Now, do we use is or do we use are? Now, here $6 is taken as one unit. Okay, $6 you have to consider it as one. You don't count it separately. Right? So you take it as one unit, and because we will take it as one unit, we will take the singular verb. So your sentence A is correct, your sentence B is incorrect. Right? Moving to the next. The weather in the western states are cold sometimes. The weather in the western states is cold sometimes. Now, let's look at this. What are we talking about, by the way? We are talking about the weather, right? Now, which is the verb here? The verb is are or the verb is. Now, the weather in the western states. Do we consider the states so that we take are? No, my friends. We will consider the weather. So the whether are or the whether is, you remember the very second rule we had learned? Yes, this is that phrase in between. So we have to remember the verb has to connect to the subject. It has nothing to do what's in the middle. So the whether are or the whether is, perfect. The whether is. The first one is incorrect. The water polo team have won the state championship for the second time. The next one, the water polo team has won the state championship for the second time. Collective nouns. Yes, can you see? The water polo team. It is talking about the team, right? Now the team is won. So we will have a singular verb. Now is it going to be have or is it going to be has? Singular takes S, right? So B is the correct one. A is the incorrect one. Got it? Yes? Great going. A few more to go. Let's correct. Come on, let's just check it out. That skier is one of those who compete nationally. That skier is one of those who competes nationally. Now, what is our subject? That skier, yes. Now, is one of those who compete or competes. Come on, tell me, which is it? This is our verb, right? Now, here we are talking about that skier. That skier means one person. It's not those and it's not skiers, right? He is one of those. So, singular. Now, if you want singular, what will you take? S, singular S, yes. So, which is the valid one? The B is the valid one. The A is the incorrect one. Why? Because here your verb is in the plural form. Here it is in the singular form. And this singular agrees with this singular. And so, the subject agrees with the verb. Moving to the next sentence, your second last sentence. Come on, don't lose your patience. You have just 2 more to go to understand that entire topic. In fact, you can gauge, you can judge how much you have understood, or at the most, you will have to just go through the rules once again. There have to be some people left who care about English. There has to be some people left who care about English. Now, you remember? Have and has, there is, there are, right? There is not a subject. Remember we said that? Yes, it is not doing any action, so it's not the subject. So what does this agree to? The noun that comes after it. So have to be some people or has to be some people. Now people is what? Singular or plural? Obviously it's plural. People means there are many people, right? So here it is agreeing to the people. Now, have to be some people or has to be some people. People are plural or singular? We just said they are plural. Has is singular. So, obviously, we cannot consider B. A is our right answer. Correct? Got it? Remember the rule of there when your sentence begins with there is or there are. This is how it is. And the final one to judge you. A number of suggestions was made. A number of suggestions were made. Now, you tell me what should it be, right? It is a number of suggestions or it is a number of suggestions were made or was made. Now here, which is our subject? Our subject is this, right? And here, what is your verb? Was and were. So which one is it? A number of suggestions was made, a number of suggestions were made. Obviously it is were. Why? Because it is a number, it is unspecified, right? So suggestions were made. Now that brings us to the end of this chapter, which requires a lot of brushing of the rules, but then once it's done, it has a lasting impact, right? Now, before I bid adieu to you after this chapter, your life and you need to have an agreement. So I leave you on this note. I leave you on the note where you have to agree with your life. Yes, a lot of English happen, a lot of subject verb agreement happen. Let's let's see what agreement is required with our life. Be impeccable with your word. Make sure whatever you speak goes towards truth, goes towards positivity. No lying, speak with that integrity. Don't take anything personally. Whatever comments in from one and out from the other ear. Don't make assumptions. Please never do that. Don't you dare make any kind of assumptions until and unless you know what exactly it is all about. And always do your best. If you follow these rules of life, yes, you totally agree with your life and you will have this beautiful agreement with it. So yes, keep doing that, keep watching and keep learning.